Good afternoon. We have another very wonderful opportunity to be in the presence of another great master. His Eminence Khensur Thutop Gonpo is the former abbot of Gyume Tantric College, one of the two colleges from where we have the abbots enter in the line to be the head or the lineage holder of this school, the Gelug School of Tibetan Buddhism. So His Eminence is in that line. He was born in eastern Tibet. How old do you think His Eminence looks like? He is 90 years old. Yeah, 90. So it really is, to have the teachers at this age to come, it is a rare, very special opportunity for us. His Eminence entered Drepung Monastery in Tibet, of course, for his studies, and then in 1959, came into exile in India, and ever since he has been here. In 1999, he was appointed by His Holiness the Deputy Abbot of Gyume Tantric College, and 3 years after he became the Abbot of the monastery, which is a term they served for 3 years, and then after finishing that he returned to Drepung Losel and has been teaching. So His Eminence is actually one of those masters, who have just huge number of students here. Almost every student in study would want to study with someone like His Eminence. I myself, actually, when I was studying here back in the 80s, had a great opportunity to have the opportunity to study from His Eminence then. So it's a great honor and privilege to serve his translator today for you. First of all, my heartfelt Tashi Delek or greetings to all of you. Now, a few days ago, the monastery administrator came with the request that I offer a brief teaching on the 3 principal aspects of the path to enlightenment to this gathering, and so that provided me this opportunity to be with you today. So it gives me great delight to say a few words, to introduce you to, with few words introduce to you the principal aspects of the path.
당기로 디어스 드링이 지도하는 시도 토금들이나 그 배나 잡어질 잘 안 보여는 디노스니 방고지 되는 여러 생각나 오지만 동아를 되는 요래문들이 다 디가 숑고 생이 들어서 마 지대라 시기스.
Now, the three principal aspects of the path, these three principal elements, they are the very essence of all the Buddha's teachings. That if you distill the main, aspects or the main, realizations that one needs to cultivate for enlightenment, to attain enlightenment, it comes down to these three principal aspects. There are over about 100 volumes of original Buddha's teachings translated in Tibetan, another 120 or so, the early commentaries on Buddha's teachings known as Shastras. The very, very essence of all those teachings, are represented in these three principal aspects. So for me to expound on these three principal aspects, of course, that in some ways, for me, it will be kind of, explaining about something you don't have. Like, for example, there could be a beggar who can explain about all the rich, objects in the treasury of a king, that which he doesn't, own. The beggar doesn't own, but can explain. So similarly, for me to explain, these three principal aspects is like a beggar explaining the king's treasury.
아니 르바진 타바도 통치침이 다 통치침이 손지 쫀는데 공부 터발라 아니 뭔가 용수도 받대 다 lonje 쪼는 수들은 디데어레스 데이데 손지부터 뭐 치수 있는 간지 된지 간지 차소데 이 고자지 손잡이 체를 쓰고 알아 데이제 디긴 레바데 다 된지들 지래 이내요 다 디기 된다 강가데 치디나 이 lonje 쪼는 수들은 디어레스 데이제 다 lonje 쪼는 버서데 가데레스나 Now,
you have the text, right? You see the text here, the three principal aspects of the path to enlightenment. Do you see that here? It's probably is the last text or not the last, but the one before the last is the text for today by Jason Gaba, that the three principal aspects of the path, it's in this binder. Now, when you think about these three principal aspects, the principal elements for enlightenment, these present for an individual, a single individual, to attain enlightenment, what are required from A to Z, all the elements, all the parts of the steps towards that enlightenment are condensed in these three steps. So in a way, the three principal aspects represents the steps or the stages for a single individual to pursue that path of enlightenment from the beginning to the end. This text was actually, written at the request of the great master himself, who was so deeply studied and practiced both in sutras and tantras.
Tomo Sutu, Tomo Hotel Meno, Tomo Jiramo Chigani. Giselamano, the Shans are lost in it. You are wrong, Tatina Jiramo Chigma, Domasha. Only Zinjome or Ibiga, only need to give Lama Kangala Shan, this.
And here in the text, as you can see, in the beginning, it says homage to the most venerable teachers. You know that the Jetsung Kapa, Rinpoche, in the beginning, he pays homage to his masters, from whom he received the teachings, but also the teachers who taught their teachers. So all the direct and the lineage teachers, he pays homage at the outset.
Gisel, you may own the down was a Jacheshi, Samotaji, Srenia, Samotaji, Lama, Jirmochi Shah, you only own the Zinatri Konga, Pedoma, Ramaj, the Senate, Suju, Kongo, Ibi, John over the Kola Telegrams.
Candice Ross?
Jisinjomi.
Lawrence.
Madam Samataji Lamateo. The Chok Temasin, Jisinjomi, Jetinimi, Sami Lomer, Jabadi Corred, the Ina to Jirmuchi Shag, Mrs. Zinitini, don't want to imagine to take the courage on this.
Now, you know, amongst the teachers that he pays homage to is also Manjushri, you know, that being the Manjushri being the master, you know, that in the line of what is known as the lineage of the profound view, the Buddha's teachings as they were passed down in the successive, you know, line of teachers, the profound teachings on emptiness by the Buddha were transmitted through Manjushri, then down through the line of many masters. So for Tsongkhapa, you know, that had this direct kind of communication, the vision and the communication with Manjushri, and then through that he attained great many understanding and realizations. The purpose of paying homage to one's masters, right in the beginning for the spiritual teachers, it represents, on part of the student, a deep reverence to his or her spiritual teacher, which is very important, you know, in Buddhist tradition for a practitioners to have such deep respect, reverence for the teacher. So here, it represents his own deep reverence to his masters. In the first stanza of the actual text, that he identifies those three principal aspects of the path, you know, and as you can see, it reads that I shall explain here to the best of my ability the essential points of all the scriptures of the conqueror. The essential points. Actually, it's a essential point, perhaps not the plural. Essential point of, you know, that the essential meaning, the point of all the Buddha's teaching. This refers to the mind of renunciation, mind of letting go. You know, that because the very essence, the purpose of Buddha's teachings is to lead sentient beings into the liberation from suffering. So therefore, this deep determination to free oneself from that cycle of suffering is what is referred to as mind of renunciation.
자시 도만은 좀 앞이 롬생기데 아니 다른 이바 소주 세대가 있듯이.
The second essential part of the element for enlightenment is the path that is acclaimed by all the excellent bodhisattvas, that is the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta as the altruistic aspiration that seeks full awakening to benefit all beings.
다 까디 탄데는 중국 대시들 다 따와대 또는 같이 치통시다 아니 용인 좀 체니 매봐 지라 때니 저 이마도 지마 때마 체니 매봐 고로 용인 저스는 근데 때 체니 스쿨 때문에 그래서는 가졌더니 다바도 도시 체미도 드사가 롱과 체니 다 요만에 그 로지 저자서는 대자다 용인이 줘봐 다 용인 줘봐서는 거 가고요 할때는 이나 된다 아니 스쿨 마테케 저와이나 아니 지금 말에 대다 마테 때비서 니리 강가 치강이 니스 타투바들 때는 또 많이 하시게 됐을 때 아니 먼저 타바토발라 이 돈여마도 탐에 있어 타바도 던지지면 고모 가르쳐놔요 돈여세기 또 그들 텔 아니 예수라 그는 가서 자식 도만은 저 어때 말에 까지 탈로는 좀 됐어 어때.
The third essential point, or the third principal point here, is pointed here as the gateway for the fortunate ones aspiring for liberation. That is the wisdom of emptiness, or the realization of emptiness as the emptiness that is the ultimate mode of being of each and every phenomenon. That is to say that ultimate nature or the mode of being of each and every phenomenon, including self, is that each and every being is utterly, every phenomenon exists utterly in dependence upon various factors and not from its own side or objectively or inherently or independently. So that is to say that everything lacks any kind of independent status or inherent status. Things exist totally dependent on other factors. That kind of our awareness, that understanding, the ultimate nature of the self and others in that sense, is the gateway to the liberation, because without realizing, without an understanding or without experiencing, this reality in this way, one day's the liberation from the ignorance and the suffering is not possible. So therefore, that realization is the gateway for the fortunate ones who aspire to liberation.
지다 니신다기 셰바샤스 데 지르모치다 아니 니시기 스테이네요 니신데 지다 셰바샤스 데다 만두나시나 데 캐슈 다 마시고 이스가 많이 마시 키 가제 니니시기 이스 우트리지 니 다스토마 도차레는스.
So then this that he says that I shall explain here to the best of my ability. That's the author, the Tsongkhapa. These 3 points that he says that he will explain as to the best of his ability in this verse that is about the verse about the pledge of composing this text. What this represents, when he says that I shall explain to the best or as best as I can, it represents the humility on part of the master, the author. That is, instead of saying that I'll explain to you thoroughly everything like that, he's presenting that I will try my best, I will do my best as best as I can. That symbolizes, that represents the humility on his part.
아니 시에츠지레스 야 시에츠지에지나 아니 다 인주도 수주세도 요답이 따왔을까 아니 수지수라 근자가 인보고 돼 어다비 너도 강가가 이미 대 생각 자니 생각 이미 대절다 생각 너도 너 용지 강가가 니 수주 세대 에어시는 말해 되는 이네요 그 타투 트사데 니 수주 세려 저 저 수지를 올 저가 있어 니 수라 용조 이미 대래자 들이시 지고 알았어 된 가르치나 채우도스
So this is one way, to associate these lines with the three principal elements, principal aspects. But another interpretation, that is that each one of these three lines, essential points, excellent path proclaimed by Buddhas, bodhisattvas, gateway for the liberation. Each one of these lines can be understood as pointing to the three principal aspects. The each line, like the essential points, meaning the mind of renunciation, bodhicitta, and the wisdom of emptiness. Excellent path that is proclaimed by bodhisattvas. Each one of these are proclaimed by bodhisattvas as well, and each one is the gateway to the liberation as well. Now the next stanza, the second stanza, it's about beseeching or the asking the audience, the student. In this case, they happen to be Sakungawan Takwa, to listen to this teaching, beseeching to engage in this teaching. And here again, as it says, that those who are not attached to the joys of cyclic existence, who strive to make meaningful this life of leisure and opportunity, and who place their trust in the path that please the conquerors, O fortunate ones, listen with an open heart, like this. So it's beseeching to listen or engage in this. Each one of those first three lines can be understood as, again, pointing to each of those three aspects. The first line, that is the not attached to the joys of cyclic existence, is the renunciation, mind of letting go, that the life, that makes meaningful this life of fortune and opportunities, human life that makes opportunities, the altruistic heart, that bodhicitta, and then the path that pleases the Buddhas refers to the wisdom of emptiness. So, here, this is, of course, presented in a traditional sense, where the listening to the teachings, that would require certain degree of appreciation in the teachings, but also to the teachers, so where the students, listen to these teachings with a certain kind of establishing a relationship with the teacher as a teacher. But in this case, I want to make clear that as you are engaging in this, you don't need to have kind of this feel that to listen to this teaching, you need to, that take me as a teacher and like that, you can they all take it as more as the kind of the something as of the knowledge that you want to acquire to understand. It's not necessary that you take it in the very kind of traditional spiritual the context where this kind of listening and teachings happen by establishing the student and teacher's relationships.
다 도모들 민주 시행이 지체들에서 가르에서나 논도 민주면은 순서이 덴디덴이 시 타면 아세게 가르세가 왔으나 민주 요도 보지면은 아니 되는 덴디덴이 시들은 가도 사도미 공부로부터 토요다 가도 샹아시 켈레게 디가 니니 시소면 사이 뭐 공부 오늘 사이 공부로부터야 데로시 시즌로부터이나 아니 텔링양 그룹에 아니 인지 그거 알았어. 민주 그도 가르스나 첸델도 다 되나 거의 되어 ሼ로지면은 민주시로 제가 말해. 대자 민주면은 덴 가서 체류. 대시 타면은 덴디 덴시들이 아니 대화식 가르려고 해서나 그냥 시아시마드니 하도 미 공부고 되냐고 대 메케레 거. 대 메케레 타요 말레스. 들리지스요레스.
Now the first aspect of these three parts, mind of renunciation or the letting go, mind of what is the rationale for that? What is the reason for cultivating this our ability to let go? And this is explained in this next stanza, where it says that without pure renunciation, that this mind of letting go, there is no means to pacify the yearning for the joys and fruits of samsaric ocean. That is to say that that if one does not cultivate this genuine mind of letting go to the pleasures, the letting go of the kind of the fixation, the attachment to the pleasures of like the pleasures of humans or the God realms and like that, that you would not, if you kind of remain attached to the pleasures of the future lives into the or the pleasures that the humans and the gods can experience, if we are attached to that, then that when you are attached, there is no, we would not be able to pacify this craving or the fixation to those pleasures and so forth. So therefore, without the renunciation, since we cannot be free from such clinging, that's why we need to develop the mind of letting go or the renunciation. Without the renunciation, and if you cannot really escape this kind of the clinging to the samsaric pleasures, that there is no, it's kind of endless, that without letting go of the attachment to the samsaric pleasures, or without this firm determination to free from those clingings. The reason that there is no end to the samsaric, attachment and like that has to do with, as the next two lines explain. And as craving for existence chain us thoroughly, at first search for it, chain for us thoroughly. So and as craving for existence chain us thoroughly. That is to say that if we are unable to develop this ability to let go or the firm determination to emerge from those cravings and so forth, the remaining stuck with this craving, that they will chain us thoroughly to the samsaric existence, in this chain of suffering. So therefore, that's why it's important to develop the deep yearning or the determination to free ourselves from such cravings for the samsaric pleasures. So that's why that he says that first one must, seek or search, cultivate the true mind of renunciation, letting go, because without that we can't escape the samsara, that ever insatiable desire for the pleasures of the samsara. Now, the way of cultivating this mind of letting go, the attachment to the pleasures of the samsara, is explained by the next stanza, number 4. By cultivating in mind that this human life is so hard to find, yet has no time to spare, preoccupations with this life will preoccupations with this life will cease. That's here. It presents that how we can dissolve or overcome this constant preoccupation, clinging to the the pleasures and so forth of this life's preoccupation with name, fame, and so forth, and of this life. That is done by reflecting that the human life that we have, that is endowed with 8 leisures and 10 fortunes, the 10 the opportunities. It's such a rare opportunity that we have, that is rare to find, but yet we do have that. It will take little too long to kind of go over these 8 leisures and 10 fortunes and so forth. But it basically has to do with that 8 leisures have to do with as when having the leisure, the freedom now it has to do with we are not in such life forms where the opportunities for cultivating the dharma, inner realizations, is not possible. Like being, it's difficult, not possible. It's difficult. Like being born in the hill, the animals, animal realms, and the long life. So the gods, in such kind of certain states, or being born with a certain kind of situations like you can't sleep, or or being born in such place where you end up having no appreciation for the teachings that so you're not being in that state. It's represents what having the leisure and the such a life that kind of we have right now. We're not in those states. We have a freedom to practice and understand. This is very rare. Why it is rare? For various reasons. First of all, the causes for giving rise to a human life endowed with such freedom and opportunities. It's rare. It requires such a not just human life, the human life endowed with where our faculties are intact, and that we are met with the dharma, and have the freedom to pursue practices, studies, and so forth. This kind of attending this kind of life that requires a certain ethical foundation as a cause. It requires the support of virtues like that merits that are developed through generosity and so forth, as well as the aspirations of the that connect that such transitions from one life to another life of the fortune and the leisure. It's difficult to maintain such kind of cultivate those process of the ethical living, living with the life of generosity and so forth. So that's why if the causes are kind of rare and difficult, the results will be difficult to combine. Result as a life propelled by such virtues will be difficult to combine.
I think your budget is that. 타치 중국 중앙에서 뭐지 오모서도 예시 리타마 니나 때바지다 뭐쳐봐 오모츠와 예시셔봐 어떻게 그 론종아 아니 예종아 소지셔도 뒤시 예시인 소지셔도 뒤진주 예시인의 자고서니 예산이 소고지 응아겠죠 대전 다와제도 저버째 손이 때도 대시다 니가 있어래 이니가 있거든요 다 다저 니가 다리니 샤노이 단전이 니에발라더니 츠르노마도 비즈이 츠르스고 봐. 먹기지라서 버더니 야보스. 아니 대수가 저는 마셨더니 지말라서 봐 야보도는 마도요. 말아서 레시아 야보도더니 가르치지 제중에 들더니 지마도이나도. 예수 가르치 파시트 조시. 멜로노마도 비 초자더니 멜로가 보자더니 그다 니에가 쇼여서 당만조다는 니에 공에서 따야 딜레 대자 니 단조도 시전이 가고 있어레스 대자 얘는 니 차이들에 다 콜체 로요 말레스 게마셔도 알로추주셔 니바메 바레더니 제차라요나 배고마르 간지요나도 데시도 데메시스니 니바치니 메레스 첼라고메 어다 체데라요더니 코로 데루 차로 메케르조나시 치디루 디세 메케르조나베 쇼지 체
Similarly, that's not only are we endowed with such leisures, but also we have, other what I refer to as the opportunities. When we have our faculties intact, that are born in what is known as the central, place, meaning that where the Dharma is flourishing, where we have access to the Dharma, the teachers and so forth and so on. So it's where, we have freedom to practice and those faculties and so forth intact to pursue such practices. This is truly very precious and rare opportunity. As mentioned earlier, that to attain such a life endowed with leisure and fortune truly requires the concordant causes. For example, the pure ethics that having cultivated in the previous lives, the pure ethics as the foundational causes. When we talk about the pure ethics as the foundational causes, it's even like the basic ethics referred to like abstaining from the 10 non-virtues, that for abstaining from lying, stealing, killing, and so forth and so on. So it is hard to live a life, kind of such purely kind of ethical life. It is difficult. Therefore, a life that such that depends on the leisure and fortune, that depends on such pure ethical conduct as a foundation, will be rare. But we have attained such a life today, that we are enjoying such a life. While it is wonderful that such a life that we're enjoying, but as the text reads here, it says that yet has no time to spare, that this life, that very fortunate life that we have, we can't really kind of, just let it, waste it. We don't have time to spare, meaning that the life is short. Our life is so short, that it is it is definite, like the inevitable that we will die. But not only that, it is uncertain how soon we will die. We can't tell that, this would not happen, within a day or two, and like that. So, such, this being the case, that we have this precious, precious opportunity, yet this is so, impermanent, that can be lost anytime. If we can grasp, if we can understand, this reality, that we have now, and how easily it can be lost, then we would not get kind of distracted, or in the meaningless activities, or the kind of pursuit of this, just kind of short-term, pursuit of this life, or preoccupations that is limited. That benefits are just limited to this life.
처음 따봤을 때 제가 때 처음 따봤을 때는 아니 자와서도 저세가 거기 된다 미바 쳐서 막 아니 뭐 제가 미바 미바 치마도 공부해 봐서 막 드리고 저세 세레 저세 거고니라니 다 처음 따봐요 맞아 줘요레스 돼지 강가도 다 제시에는 패도만 대 니스나로 드리지레스.
So here when the author says that yet that this life has not, we have no time to spare, meaning that it refers to our impermanence and the death, so in that sense, that when one reflects on our impermanence and death and dying, there are extensive reflections one can engage in. For example, that the three kind of roots, and that the 9 reasons that you go. Basically, the 3 roots have to do with this about inevitability of the death, as explained. And the secondly, uncertainty and predictability of when it will happen. Thirdly, when we die, nothing else, no possessions, nothing else would be of help, except our own cultivation of the mind, the positive mental states, or the dharma. So each one of these 3 is then reflected with the 3 reasons for inevitability of death, uncertainty of death, and why except the dharma, meaning that inner realization, nothing else is helpful at the time of the death. Reflect in this way that what really is helpful, for us in this, the continuing, life to ensure well-being. When you reflect that at the time of death, it's not our relatives, it's not our wealth, it's not our reputation. None of that is of any, help at the time. What helps is that what kind of mindset we have, what kind of, dharma, meaning that except for the dharma, meaning that inner positive states, nothing else is of use there. If you see that how all the worldly possessions are meaningless, that at that point, you can cultivate its state that is not attached to that. It's not captivated by the pleasures of this life. All the kind of the luxuries and so forth of this life. So you can reverse the attachment, this clinging for the preoccupations of this life, meaning name, fame, wealth, and so forth. So basically, that through that, your kind of, attachment, the clinging to the appearances and of this, but just kind of this short term for this life, it will be reduced, or you can reverse that. 타바 통시집이 교화사는 타바 통시집인 로 아니 레모 교화사는 તને 냐와도 유다 들어라서 보다베 디르네스 하시로 데리지가가 린디만로 와서는 돈이 되는 신민노시 도가레스 린디 하와메 버서니 린디만 거의 두만은 요소나 신민노시 도스 어다 린디만로 레 교화 레 게이 배드니 게 타바도 통시집이 타바 여바 아 뭐게 요데드니 내소샤 레교의 사바토지요 타비절 로야마르트리나 텐도모 아니 타바토비 체데 미니 드니 교사나 아니 데론로 하체 타바도 하체 아니 때 뭐교스 가르사노 테네소로 드니지소노 돈이 드니 린디 처음에 받에소노 돈이 드니소노 돈 드니 시미노시 도로 세레스. So now we may through this reflection, put to an end or reduce and prevent or cease this obsession for this life preoccupations. But we may have still the attachment for the pleasures of the future lives, into the heavens and into the luxuries of the paradise, into the gods, or to be, those pleasures of the human realm in the future. That is what is known as the Sugati, or the fortunate realms. So even though not preoccupied with this life's kind of preoccupations, but we may still be attached for pleasures of the future lives and like that. That attachment, if you will, is overcome by contemplating repeatedly the truth of karma and samsaric of sufferings. Preoccupation with the next life will come to cease. So the next life, the preoccupations of the next life. That here, the reflection of the karma, inevitably, incontrovertible nature of the karma, that from positive actions come positive results, from negative actions, come negative results, whether it's the attainment of the liberations and Buddhahood and so forth, or the well-being, the happiness and so forth, come from the positive actions, engaging in positive ways. If we engage in the negative actions, reflecting or understanding how the negative actions lead to the suffering and the negative results, that when we see that incontrovertible nature, the unmistaken kind of causal nature of this, the positive and negative karma and the results as happiness and suffering, then then also the no matter whether here or in the future, as is, if we can also understand the nature of the samsara, the suffering itself, that how the any pleasures that we cultivate in the future and so forth, as long as they are, we are attached to them, that how those would not become a lasting happiness. Also that any happiness that in the samsaric happiness in the future lives, they are also unstable. And through reflecting on the kind of this samsaric nature of the nature, then we would also overcome this preoccupation with the future pleasures of future life.
그때 다 인지 무슨 거의 두만을 요새 시민로시 도세기들 된다. 레데 세노리도 세노 마이미 리니치 세노리 띠 세노리 사바이나 다 처리야 볼수 있듯이 잡아이나 다도 미 고문을 도르더니 얘네요. 용주 거라자는 과친 타임에 그래 되레스. 대소노도 되는 용도 소노도 저는 아니 거의 부도 가리지는 이메 끼지도 무시시. 거의 부도 잡어도 레모도 빼자라 아니 저거 롤업에 처음으로 뚜모고 다 가지 요는 계속 강가서 또 드니 이 몸에 봐 가지 지자라 가지에서 될 이모 체님에 봐 도수나 아니 다 거의 거할 드니 심하고 그랬어.
So upon reflecting on this reality of the cause and effect, the karmic causation, with regard to the karma, obviously there are different kinds of karma. What is a meritorious karma and non-meritorious karma? Meritorious karma, leads to, as a karma, as a projector of the future lives, lead to the higher life forms, like into the fortunate life forms as humans and gods. Unfortunate, the non-meritorious karma, like the negative karma, that is, that as a projecting karma, they will lead to the future lives into the unfortunate life forms. As you reflect on that, then, and even the meritorious karma, if it is not free from kind of grasping the attachment for the future life's pleasures and so forth, that only becomes a contaminated karma. That when you are born into the into gods or the humans and like that, within this, to still under this kind of the shackles of the such actions, then those pleasures and so forth may last for a while, and then when the karma is exhausted, one can again find oneself into in such unfortunate life forms due to other karmas that we have. So, as by reflecting this samsaric nature, as long as we are caught in this karmic, the afflictive emotions or karma, then no pleasure in the joys and while in such a state is not sustainable and lasting. So this is how one reflects. Now, how do we measure? What is the measurement of having cultivated the mind of renunciation? And that is the next stanza. That's what presents. As you habituate in this way, and when not even an instant of admiration arises for the prosperity of cyclic existence, and when the thought aspiring for liberation arises day and night, at this point, true renunciation has arisen. That, through this reflection, how unstable and so forth, as long as you are kind of attached to this, and when it becomes clear that, when you become disillusioned or that is, enchanted with all this prosperity, like the wealth of God, the kings and the the great kind of treasuries of the kings and so forth, that nowadays, they even that we have millions, billions of dollars and like that. As you can see that they in themselves, are not the source for genuine happiness, lasting and genuine happiness. When you see that they are meaningless, they are not capable of leading to lasting happiness, then you will have no kind of fixation or the grasping, the attachment for those.
그때 제자도 또 마도 간디지는 배 예매 끼지도 무시시다 예매 무시지들 말이요나 소나서 무시 빼나 티네지지 티바나 그 슈치무지는 그세 가리지 때는 배 슈발론이 되게 상임이 되게 여러 대노지지가 아니 거기 부터 간디지나 셰발론이다 말이요나 소소 체님을 되게 대마세 드린 코알리 타그 년세 끝나 니 코알리 탄데 되니시스나 이제 근데 타바 되냐는 쉬는 데서 미주시 발라스 대자 뒤에 다리시에 되지 미주데 데리고 시작하래스 미주시 있어야 다 되나래.
So, for example, that if someone is suffering with jaundice, that's obviously caused by excessive eating grease and so forth and so on. So when you have this jaundice, when you even see a certain kind of oily food like that, you have no interest in that whatsoever, no appeal to that, those things whatsoever. That kind of disinterest, if you will, one can experience for all the wonderful possessions of the worldly life. When that happens, that such a disinterest arises, and then, day and night. Instead, there is, an aspiration for liberation, to liberate from such, cravings and attachment and so forth. At that point, you can say that one has cultivated genuine, mind of renunciation or the letting go.
주제 거들.
주정가다 제가 심도 돌. 주정가다 제가 심도 쳐서.
어디야? 다 이거 사지. 다 된다. 가래서다. 아니 다디 민주시에. 다 민주대 노다 시시 스마면 나라면 포도 대이저는 먼저 있으니까 드니 민주대 드니 신주 세서 가래서. 신주 세가 무슨 아니 다 벌써 뭐 타지 나면 신주 전쟁 말해서 그래.
That completes the explanation of the mind of renunciation, the first principal aspects. Then the next line, deals with the actually next line deals with the bodhicitta, the second one. That is to say that Such renunciation too, if it is not sustained by the pure awakening mind, that is the bodhicitta, the aspiration to attain enlightenment to benefit all beings, if it is, if it is not sustained by pure awakening mind, it will not become the cause, the marvelous, the real excellent cause of the perfect bliss of unexcelled enlightenment, that is the Buddhahood, full awakening. Therefore, O intelligent ones, generate the excellent awakening mind. That presents the rationale why we need to cultivate bodhicitta on top of the mind of renunciation. The rationale for the cultivating bodhicitta, meaning that if we cannot have this aspiration grounded in the great compassion of all beings, we would not be able to attain full awakening. One can attain liberation, but not from samsara, but not the full enlightenment. For attaining the Buddhahood, full enlightenment requires such an altruistic intention to help all beings. Now, with regard to the manner, or the mode, the way of cultivating this bodhicitta, what entails, what kind of reflections, insights that are entailed in cultivating this, and these are presented in the next two lines, and the way it says that they are being they are being swept away constantly by four powerful rivers. They're bound tightly with fetters of karma, most difficult to escape. They are bound tightly. They are trapped inside the iron mesh of self-grasping. They are enveloped from everywhere by the thick mist of ignorance. They lack birth. They take birth within cyclic existence that has no end, where they are endlessly tormented by the three sufferings. By reflecting on all your mothers who suffer such conditions, please generate the supreme awakening mind. When you reflect this situation of all our mother sentient beings, then the compassion that is, the great compassion that is required, that is the foundation for such a bodhicitta, the compassion that is aware of the suffering of all the sentient beings and then has this desire to free them from their suffering. That arises, and such a compassion can lead to one's own aspiration to attain full enlightenment to benefit all beings. And then next, then it deals with the third principal aspects, that the correct view or the realization of emptiness, and the rationale being that this ninth stanza here, if you do not have the wisdom realizing the ultimate nature, that is emptiness, even if you gain familiarity with the renunciation and awakening mind, you will not be able to cut the root of samsaric existence. So strive in the means of realizing dependent origination. So that is to say that, that even we develop this genuine desire or the determination to free ourselves from the ignorance and so forth and so on, and cultivate bodhicitta, that is grounded in compassion for all beings. But if we are unable to develop the genuine understanding of emptiness, ultimate nature of phenomena, then since the ignorance, that is the misconception of the actual nature of the phenomena, is the root of suffering, without severing, without transforming that root of suffering, one cannot attain the liberation, not to mention about the full enlightenment. So therefore, rationale for cultivating wisdom of emptiness is that is necessary to cut the roots of samsara and also to attain the full enlightenment. So, with regard to this realization of emptiness, because that being the kind of the key to both attaining liberation and the full enlightenment, therefore that is the cultivation of such realization is what is really that pleases the Buddha, because that's what their main concern is liberating sentient beings from their suffering. So that being the case here, it says that with respect to all phenomena of samsara and nirvana, where you see the cause and effects never deceive their laws. And when you have dismantled the focus of objectification, at that point you have entered the path that pleases the Buddha, meaning that realization of emptiness. That is that without, without compromising the functionality of cause and effect, as you can dismantle the focus of objective in this reification, that solidifying of you can see that there's nothing exists that in itself. When you have realized such, such a realization being the correct view of emptiness, that pleases the Buddhas. So what actually completes the actual realization of emptiness, that is that so long as the two understandings, the appearance, that is which is undeceiving dependent origination, if something that existing from cause and effect or the factors and so forth, when you see something existing from its dependent origination, as from the point of view of dependent origination, and emptiness as the devoid of all this, the emptiness as the phenomena lacking any kind of objective reality or the fixed reality. As long as these two remain, separate, and as long as they remain separate, so long you have not realized the intent of the Buddha. If they seem incompatible, that as long as they remain incompatible for us, that functionality of the phenomena yet lack their utter lacking of any intrinsic or the objective reality, then one has not really grasped the actual intent of the Buddha, that is the emptiness. So what completes the actual, actually completing the realization of this ultimate reality, that is presented in the 12th However, at some point, when without alternation, but at once, simultaneously, the instant you see that dependent origination is undeceiving, that it's valid, if the entire object of grasping at certitude is dismantled, at that point your analysis of view has culminated. So simultaneously it's something that exists dependently and it's being empty of inherent existence. If they without cancelling each other, if one can maintain simultaneously, then at that point your understanding of emptiness is complete. And here in the next stanza, that it presents, that the unique feature of what is known as the Prasangika Madhyamika, that the consequence medieval school that is where that the two truths, the two conventional and the ultimate, as they mutually reinforce, not only mutually reinforce, but in fact that as it says, that furthermore one appearance, dependent origin is something that appearance dispels the existence of extreme, furthermore when appearance dispels the extremes of existence, that is the eternalism. So when something appearing dependently itself is takes you to maintain that it does not exist inherently. And when the emptiness dispels the extreme of non-existence, when something does not exist independently, it leads to the dispelling of this extreme view that things don't exist. And if you understand how emptiness arises as cause and effect, you will never be captivated by views grasping at extremes. So that is said that that understanding as emptiness, that is simultaneously kind of leading to the dependent origination and of it as the absence of independent existence, then you will never be kind of captivated by these extreme views of nihilism and eternalism, that you will understand the phenomena as the middle, as it is. And at the end, in conclusion, then he says that thus when you have understood as they are, the essentials of the three principal aspects of the path, O son, seek solitude, and by enhancing the power of perseverance, swiftly accomplish your ultimate aspiration. To his, Sakungawan Drapa, that his disciple, that he at the end says that when you have understood these three, then you should seek the solitude and earnestly put that into practice. Thus, you will accomplish your ultimate aspiration, that is the Buddhahood. So, without properly understanding what these three, how the process for cultivating these three realizations, three principal realizations, that even that we go to solitude and try to meditate, cultivate those, we would not be able to do that. Once we have a proper understanding of the procedure of cultivating this and what it is and rational and all this, then we can go to the solitude and really work on it, and then that we can, we will be able to cultivate such realizations. Patient to the thousand lettering to the middle again. Khensur Laula. Laula Solo. So apparently that you don't have time today, for question and answers, and this is a brief kind of teaching on the three principal aspects of the path. It's a short text, and it took a little while, so sorry that I couldn't spare time for question and answer, but with this we conclude the teaching today. So let's thank Geshe-la, His Eminence, for this wonderful teaching. This is a very, very important teaching, and for him to cover all this, in such quick manner. This will help, kind of, if at the moment even if we don't understand every nuances of this clearly, it will help posit the dispositions, the bakchak, to understand that in the future. It's a kind of planting of the seeds, to understand. This, I'm saying, not him, that this will help us to have these seeds that will gradually begin to germinate as we can find more understanding, more studies, reflections. So, with that, let's conclude with during the Sakana Shasha again.